Hi everyone, today we're talking about Aurora Cannabis Stock that is now down 85% from its highs. It's a stock that I currently hold in my portfolio, and today I'm going to cover what I'm going to do with the shares that I have in Aurora Cannabis Stock. And also it's a stock that's also been requested quite a bit in the comment section recently. It's been a stock that people have been saying, can you go cover what you're doing with your position in Aurora Cannabis and what's going on. So today I'm going to go cover what is going on with Aurora Cannabis and why it's now down absolutely huge. So when we take a look at the graph, we can see the surge in when we had the kind of like pot stock market rally, and there was just kind of like went to crazy valuations, and since that valuation the stock has gone down quite a bit, and I bought down about $4.25, and at that time I thought it's kind of getting to more attractive prices right now. And when I bought the position that I did, I said there's a big chance that this stock could go up from here or down from here. We just don't really know because it's on that falling knife trend, and it could come a bit of a nasty position. Now it has fallen down even more since then, and now we're going to talk about the valuation that it is at right now. Now I'm going to say, as always guys, this Aurora Cannabis stock is less than 2% of my portfolio. So when people like think, oh, why are you doing that? Like, why are you buying this, Aurora Cannabis stock? It's a spec play for me, and it's a stock that I can handle losing the money on because it's not a big position, and it's kind of a little bit more of a risky play for me. You know, I am quite a young investor, so with me being a young investor, I want to have that little bit more risk in my portfolio, and also I do like the kind of growth potential in that whole industry as well. So when we look at the stock chart, we can see that it is down quite a bit. It's now trading at about $1.65, which is really cheap. It has not been these prices since the 30th of June 2017. So the first thing we're going to do is just take that into consideration. So when we consider that it was nearly 2 years ago, nearly two and a half years ago, has this company in 2.5 years improved as a business? Is this company pulling off better EPS? Is the company infrastructure being invested in? And does it have a better infrastructure than 2 years ago? Is the revenue growing? Has the revenue grown since 2017? When we take all these considerations in for nearly 2 years, 2.5 years, we look at what Aurora has done for the infrastructure wise and how it's developed the company, and you can see there's been some progress in them 2.5 years. So when we look at Aurora right now and the price that it's at, you have to say that before we even got the whole pot surge that put it overvalued quite a few of the stocks that were in this kind of industry. In 2.5 years, are you telling me that the company has, flatlined, it hasn't expanded at all? And that's one of the key indicators I look at, is that it's now at the prices it was before we had this kind of overvalued industry right here. So I'm looking at this right now and I'm thinking this is a slight little sign that I think that this is definitely fair value right now. If anything, it's probably a little bit undervalued because of how much infrastructure has been improved in them 2.5 years. So have another look at another indicator, which is the PS ratio. Normally I like to look at the PE, but with the Aurora being so far off having a PE ratio and also having a forward PE ratio, I'm going to have to go to the PS ratio for this one. And the PS ratio used to be quite high on Aurora. We used to be talking about Aurora that was a 27 kind of price to sale ratio, which is kind of crazy. That's kind of like a Beyond Meats kind of standard. So it's actually now dropped its PS ratio by quite a bit. Now Aurora's price to sales ratio is around about 7, and normally something below 4 would be really acceptable. Comparing its price to sale ratio to probably the two other big competitors that are in kind of this industry, which are Tilray and Canopy, Aurora still has a price to sale ratio lower than them two, which is another sign that it's one of the best stocks in this industry for valuation. And there'll be another few indicators that I'll look at compared to the other sectors. But when we look at valuation in general and how overvalued is Aurora, that price to sale ratio has now dropped absolutely huge from where it was only about a year ago. Now the performance of Aurora looks like it's still going to be growing at 100% revenue growth, which is absolutely fantastic. There's not many other companies that you could say are growing their revenue at 100%. So that's another standout thing that we need to keep in mind for Aurora. EPS wise, EPS should carry on growing. There's no kind of confirmation on where profitability is. It's not going to be this year. It's not going to be in 2021. So we're kind of looking at 2022. So maybe Aurora can get to that profitability in 2022. But profitability wise, we're still going to be off a little bit. But like we say, this is kind of like a massively new industry. So for it to be profitable just yet is kind of a bit of a dream. It's going to take a while for this sector to develop into that profitability, but it's getting closer there. And another stock, if you were looking for profitability, Aurora stock is one of the stocks I kind of look at that is very close or is making a profit that I do like if you were kind of wanting that little bit more less risk. Now, growth wise, we're probably going to see a little bit more legalization this year. Also, the medical use side of it as well should carry on growing. I know there was a story about New York potentially looking at legalization. That'll be an absolute massive market for Aurora if it does get allowed. Medical wise is one of the big sectors that I am really interested in, because I still can't believe there is countries that are denying like medical use of cannabis. Like, it's proven, like I saw an article about a child that used to have like fits, but now he can have the cannabis that stops him from having fits, and then they were kind of on about taking it away from him because it's not allowed. And it's like, why are you doing that? Like, it obviously helps his medical condition. And I still don't understand countries, and I'm from the UK and the UK does it as well, countries that are denying access to people where cannabis will help their medical condition. It's absolutely bonkers. Countries are still denying that, and I'm in a country that is doing that right now, and it's something that I think will eventually change. I think legalization about using it for recreational use is one that's a little bit more touchy, but medical use is still being denied in countries, and it's one thing that I'm really strong on is like, if it really helps a medical condition like stopping fits, it should be something that's allowed massively, and hopefully, and I believe that kind of will change over the next kind of 5 years, that it'll be a little bit more acceptable in a few countries. I think eventually it'll get to the UK. We'll see when, but a lot of other countries are very similar to what's happening in the UK right now. So what's caused the stock to go down? Obviously, we've had a rally, and a lot of people have been selling at losses. When you look at on the stock chart and the amount of people that are in negative right now and have kind of got to the point where they're like, oh, I'm just going to sell it for a loss. Every time there's like a little spike of 10%, people going, right, I'm just going to cut my losses. It's a 10% less loss, so I'm going to cut my losses there. That's happening quite a bit. But as well as that, there's just been a bit of negative news. There's been a bit of rough earnings as well. One of the causes is obviously the US market and the legalization, hoping that it would be very successful. But at the moment, what's happening is it's now legalized, and quite a few people, instead of going to a recognized producer, they're still relying on kind of like the black market, the dealers out there to go buy cannabis. And the black market is 50% cheaper than what Aurora are after, and that's really affecting the company's margins and the kind of profit they're doing and what they expected to do. Because of the black market being cheaper, Aurora is going to have to be a little bit more competitive. That's led to margins being cut, and they might even be cut right now because they have to charge less for the product on the shelf. And because of the slowdown of margins and cash flow, that also has affected Aurora is that they've now had to slow production down. Obviously, one of the main things about the stock is that the production was absolutely huge for the company. That's one reason why I backed. But while they haven't got the cash flow there and how much it's going to hurt the balance sheet, it's probably the best decision to just slow the production down a little bit and how much they can produce until that kind of levels out a little bit more. Now, because of the combination of the margins being hit and then slowing the production down and cash flow being hit quite a bit, there's been questions raised about the balance sheet and the balance sheet getting hurt a little bit. Now, I don't think it'll ever get to the point about Aurora where they're going to have to actually go bankrupt. They're definitely probably going to have to raise a little bit of funds, which they've done beforehand. They've had to put more shares out on the market to raise capital. And this is something they might have to do another time soon to try and raise them funds. And that's something to be careful of. But we've seen it so many times with other companies doing it. It's just one of the things that companies have to do in that period of, going from a company that doesn't make money to a successful company that is in profit. So overall, what I'm doing with Aurora Cannabis Stock is that I'm still holding my position, and you know what? I'm actually tempted to buy a little bit more, especially now that it's leveled out from where it was before the pot kind of hype back in like 2018. So now it's kind of gone down to them prices. I'm kind of thinking about maybe buying some more, but to be honest with you, I'm not really buying anything while the stock market is at these kind of levels. I'm kind of like just kind of sitting, building my cash pile up, hoping for a little bit of a pullback. If the stock market is kind of getting into the February period and it's the same, I might go buy some Aurora Cannabis then. But to be honest with you, I am now at the point where I'm looking to buy some more shares in Aurora Cannabis because of it being at these prices. And like I say, I've still left myself to buy a lot more shares in this because it makes less than 2% of my portfolio. And to be honest with you, I'm willing to probably go just about around about 5% of the portfolio with Aurora Cannabis. I like to leave 10% for spec plays, so I won't mind going 5% on this one and then 5% on the other one. Obviously, if another stock that's a bit of a spec play comes up, I want to leave room for that one. So I probably would not mind going to 5% of my portfolio in this one. And like I say, right now it's about less than 2%, so we'll see what happens. Like I say, I'm looking maybe to buy some more shares in Aurora Cannabis. And if I do buy some more shares, I'll definitely make a video about it and share it with you. But like I say, it probably won't be for another few weeks at least yet. And I think while it's on this trend and there's just so much negative news, I can kind of wait for a pop in the stock, which will hopefully reverse this falling knife trend as well. So yeah, I am looking to buy, but not just yet, maybe in a few weeks' time. We'll see what happens because I'm kind of watching the stock market in general hopefully pull back. That's the video today, guys, talking about Aurora Cannabis. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you could give it a like, that'd be absolutely amazing. And I'll see you on the next video.